The Swineherd by Hans Christian Andersen. There was once a poor prince who had a small kingdom, but still it was large enough for him to get married on, and he was determined to get married. Now, it was rather bold of him to ask the emperor's daughter to marry him, but he went ahead and did so. Now, there were many princesses who would have eagerly married the prince, but the emperor's daughter? Well, let's find out. On the grave of the prince's father, there grew a rose bush which bloomed every 5th year and yielded but one blossom. This rose blossom was so exquisite and beautiful that by merely smelling it, one forgot all his troubles and cares. And the prince had a nightingale, which sang as if all the beautiful melodies in the world were lodged in her throat. The rose and the nightingale were placed in silver baskets and sent to the emperor's daughter as gifts. The emperor had the presents brought into the room where the princess was passing the day with her ladies-in-waiting. When the princess saw the brilliant silver baskets, she clapped her hands in joy.
Oh, I do hope there is a little pussycat.
But out came the lovely rose.
Oh, how divine.
Perfectly exquisite.
It is most charming.
Oh, Papa, it is nothing. It is only a real rose. I much prefer an artificial one.
She's right.
Certainly.
It can't compare with a handmade rose.
Ta-ta, my dears. Let us see what is in the other silver basket before we get so angry.
A nightingale.
Charmant.
Superb.
Why, that nightingale is singing the same song that played on my father's musical snuff box. It reminds me of my childhood.
I do hope that it is not just a real bird.
But it is a real bird.
Then let it fly away. It does not interest me. And I don't want to see the person who sent it.
But the prince was not that easily dissuaded. He put on common workingman's clothes, pulled a hat over his eyes, and knocked on the emperor's door.
Good morning, Emperor. Could I be taken into service here in the castle?
We have so many applicants for jobs that we don't really know what to do. Let me think. I know that there is no work available inside the castle, but outside... Yes, we need someone to watch the pigs. A swineherd. Do you want the position?
Most certainly, Emperor. I will be your swineherd.
As the royal swineherd, the prince was given a little room to live in, right next to the pigsties. As soon as he was in his room, the prince set to work and fashioned a beautiful little cooking pot. It had bells all around it, and when the pot boiled, it played an old melody, Ach du lieber Augustin. But what was even more wonderful was that by holding your finger in the smoke, you could tell what was cooking in every stove in town. Now, this was quite a different matter than the rose. The princess happened to be walking by with her ladies-in-waiting, and when she heard the melody, she was quite pleased, as that was the one song that she could play on the piano. With one finger, of course.
Why, that is the song that I play. The swineherd must be an educated fellow. Will one of you ladies please go and ask him the price of his instrument?
I'll go, Princess.
Yes, my lady?
Swineherd, the princess would like to know the price of your musical pot.
The price is 10 kisses from the princess.
Oh, heaven preserve us. I must tell the princess of your impudence.
I won't sell it for less.
Oh, princess, I really can't tell you what the swineherd said.
Well, then, whisper it in my ear. He is very rude. Come, let us continue our walk. Just listen to that music. Ask the swineherd if he will take 10 kisses for my lady-in-waiting.
But the swineherd's answer was no. The kisses must come from the princess.
Oh, very well. Ladies-in-waiting, form a circle so that no one can see me give the swineherd his 10 kisses.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Then there was rejoicing, and the pot was kept boiling night and day. and they all knew what was cooking in every pot in town, from the shoemakers to the town officials.
We know who will have sweet soup and pancakes for supper, and who has pudding and cutlets. What an amusing toy.
Oh, very interesting.
Remember, watch your tongue, as I am the Emperor's daughter.
Heaven preserve us.
The swineherd, that is the prince, was not idle for very long. He immediately set to making a rattle, which when swung over and around would play waltzes, minuets, and polkas, and it knew every tune in the world. The princess heard it while walking by.
That is superb. I have never heard finer compositions. Lady, go and ask him what the instrument costs. But let us have no more kissing.
Oh, princess, he wants 100 kisses from the princess.
He must be mad. Come, let us continue our walk, ladies. But isn't it true that royalty must encourage art? And I am the Emperor's daughter? Tell the swineherd he shall have 10 kisses, as last time, and the rest for my ladies-in-waiting.
But we do not like to do that.
Nonsense. If I allow myself to be kissed, you can too. Remember, I supply you with room and board.
And so a lady-in-waiting went to see the swineherd, and returned very shortly.
His answer is 100 kisses from the princess, or each shall keep his own.
Oh, very well. Stand in front of me as before.
The ladies-in-waiting formed a circle, and the kissing began.
1, 2, 3, 4.
At that moment, the emperor stepped out on his balcony, rubbed his eyes, and put on his eyeglasses.
What is that crowd by the pigsty? It's the ladies-in-waiting. I must go down and see the reason for this.
The emperor slipped on his slippers and hurried downstairs and across the courtyard. The ladies-in-waiting did not see or hear him coming, as they were too busy counting kisses. They wanted to be sure that there were not too many or too few. The emperor stood on his tiptoes, and when he saw what was going on, he took off his slipper and began to hit the ladies on the head and chase them away, just as the swineherd was taking his 86th kiss.
Out you go, all of you! And you too, my daughter, and this miserable swineherd! Go, go!
The princess and the swineherd, who was allowed to take a package from his room, were driven from the kingdom and forbidden to return. Out on a dusty road, they paused to rest, when a sudden rainstorm drenched them, and the princess began to weep.
Oh, how miserable I am. Why didn't I accept that prince? Why?
The swineherd went behind a tree, and with the rainwater he washed the dirt of a swineherd from his face and hands. He then took off his poor workingman's clothes and opened the package that he had been allowed to take from his room. In it were his princely robes, which he quickly put on. Now he stepped before the princess.
Yes, I am the prince that you would not have. And you spurned my gifts of the rose and the nightingale, but for a plaything you would kiss a swineherd. Now you have your true reward.
The prince returned to his kingdom, which was a short way off, and the princess stood outside of his castle and sang in true earnestness,
Oh, my darling Augustine, all is lost, all is lost. Oh, my darling Augustine, all is lost.